Meet Chief Kene, a billionaire, admired, feared, and sharp as a blade. One day, he did the unthinkable. He pretended to be blind to see if his wife would stand by him. She had always sworn she'd love him through anything. But when she believed his eyes were gone, everything shifted. Would she stay loyal, or would she break his heart in ways you won't believe? Stay with me for this gripping tale of love, deceit, and painful discovery. Before we begin, tap like. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and join us for lessons, heartbreak, and justice served cold. Buckle up. What follows will stun you. Let's begin. Rain tapped gently against the wide glass of the Obiaka mansion, a soft reminder that even the richest roofs can't block life's storms. Chief Kene Obiaka sat in his private study that evening, staring into the fire. His hand trembled slightly around a glass of untouched wine. He was a man who had built empires, real estate, oil, tech. But in that quiet room, wrapped in wealth, he felt like a beggar, chasing one question. Does she truly love me? Ijoma, his wife, beautiful, bright, and 30 years younger, had faced whispers from the day they wed. Some said she wanted his money. Others said she was waiting for his will. Yet Ijoma always sounded convincing. Tears at the right time, soft hands, steady words. At his birthday dinner years ago, she declared, "Even if you go blind tomorrow, I'll never leave you. I won't look at another man. I'll love you to the end." Guests applauded. Kene smiled, but inside he wondered if she'd rehearsed it. Now, years later, he was ready to know. The next morning, Chief Kene called his longtime private doctor, Dr. Ife. "Chief, are you okay?" "You sounded shaken on the phone," the doctor asked, worry in his eyes. Kene lifted his head slowly. "I need your help with an experiment. I want you to tell my wife and everyone that I've lost my sight." Dr. Eve blinked, unsure he heard right. "You want to pretend to be blind?" "Yes," Kene said, firm. "I need to know if she loves the man I am now, not the man I was." The doctor leaned back, stunned. "Chief, that's risky, emotionally, psychologically." "My mind is made up," Kene replied. "I've arranged cover for your schedule. You'll be well compensated. I just need you to act like you diagnosed permanent retinal damage." Dr. Ife exhaled and nodded slowly. "You've always been a calculating man, Chief." "I'll do it, but I pray you won't regret the truth you find." 2 days later, Ijoma returned from a weekend spa trip. She swept into the mansion smiling, shopping bags in both hands. "Honey, I bought that Italian perfume you like." She stopped when she saw him on the living room couch, dark glasses on, a walking stick by his side. "Kene, what is this?" she asked, rushing over. He didn't look up. "I went to the hospital, Ijoma." My eyes, something went wrong. "The doctor says it's permanent." "I can't see." She froze. Her gaze ran over him, the wine glass, his stiff posture, the worn look on his face. "You're joking?" She tried to laugh. "Come on, Kene, that isn't funny." "I'm not joking," he said quietly. "I'm blind." Silence. She sat beside him and took his hand. I don't understand. You were fine last week. They called it optic nerve damage," he said. "Rare, sudden, irreversible." Ijoma blinked fast. The disbelief on her face slowly shifted, not to concern, not to pity, but to calculation. Yet when she spoke, her voice flowed like honey. "Then I'll be your eyes, my love," she whispered, caressing his hand. "I made a vow, remember?" He smiled softly, a smile that never reached his heart. "Yes, I remember. That night she cooked his favorite sala soup with pounded yam and fed him herself. gently blowing on each spoonful like a careful nurse. "Say ah," she cooed. "See? I still know how to care for my man." Chief Kene chuckled. He played along, but deep inside he watched and waited. Later in the dark, she helped him into bed. "Everything will be fine," she whispered as she lay beside him. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." But when the lights went off, he heard her breathing change. It was no longer calm. She was thinking, plotting. And Chief Kene, eyes closed under the weight of his performance, knew the real trial had just begun. He told himself, love isn't proven by sweet words in daylight. It's shown by actions when night falls. For the first time in a long while, he prayed, not for healing, but for the truth. By the end of the first month, Kene knew every sound in the house, each footstep, each voice, each whisper. The act of blindness sharpened everything else, and he listened with a focus that surprised even him. In those early days, Ijoma still played the perfect wife. She made sure the staff spoke gently to him. She guided him around like a careful caregiver. Sometimes she massaged his shoulders and breathed, "You're still the finest man I know, my love." Yet something in her didn't sit right. Kene felt it. Her tenderness felt rehearsed, like lines from a script she no longer believed. Then the first crack showed. One quiet afternoon, while Kene sat on the veranda pretending to nap, he heard her on the phone. Her voice was low, excited, but not the kind of excitement a wife has for her husband. "No, don't worry," she giggled. "He can't see anything. I swear he's completely blind. It's like living with a lifeless statue." A pause, then laughter. Kene's fingers tightened on his walking stick. His chest burned with betrayal, but his face stayed still. This was only the beginning. That evening, she brought him a tray of soup. "Open," she said sweetly. "I made this for you." He obeyed, studying her through his dark lenses. Her eyes no longer met him with warmth, no spark, just irritation hiding behind a smile. That night, she took an unusually long shower. When she slid into bed, she lay stiff, her phone glowing under the covers. She didn't touch him or offer a goodnight kiss. He closed his eyes and listened. A week later, it escalated. It began with a new scent. Ijoma started wearing a bold, seductive perfume that Kene knew wasn't for him. He complimented it once, and she smirked. "Just something I picked up." "You wouldn't know it anyway," she said, a little too sharp. Soon she dressed differently, tighter skirts, louder colors, heels clicking down the hallway at night, long phone calls in the guest room, and silence whenever he came near. One evening, Kene sat in his study. Ijoma thought he was asleep. Through the open window, he heard a gentle knock at the gate, then footsteps and a man's voice. "Babe, I missed you." "Shh," Ijoma whispered. "Don't be loud. He's inside. I thought you said he sleeps early." "He does, like a log. He won't hear a thing." They both giggled. Kene stood in the shadows, heart heavy with sorrow, not rage. He peered through the blinds and saw her in the arms of a tall, muscular man in a black t-shirt. They kissed, right there by the mansion. She brought him into Kene's house. Kene didn't follow, not yet. He returned to bed and lay still as if nothing had happened. 30 minutes later, Ijoma tiptoed in and slipped under the covers. Her perfume lingered, now mixed with another man's scent. Kene kept his eyes shut. He wanted to scream, to rip the ceiling down, but he needed more. He needed certainty. In the days that followed, she grew careless. Sometimes she forgot to bring his meals. "I'm home." When he asked about food, she snapped, "Can't you see I'm busy? Do you think you're the only person in this house?" Other times, she blasted music channels and danced seductively in the sitting room, sure he couldn't see her. One afternoon, while he pretended to read Braille by the window, he heard her in the kitchen with the maid. "Honestly, I don't know how long I can keep this up," Ijoma said. "Madam," the maid whispered, "but what if Oga gets better?" "He won't. He's useless now. I didn't marry a blind man. I married a billionaire. If all he can give me is silence and darkness, I'll get what I need elsewhere." The maid said nothing. Kene didn't confront her. Not yet. Then came the worst blow so far. One evening, he heard laughter in the backyard. He moved quietly to the kitchen corridor and stood by the open window. There, in the staff quarters, stood Ijoma and Obinna, their 22-year-old houseboy. They splashed water at each other from a bucket, laughing in the staff quarters. Laughter turned into teasing, and teasing slipped into a kiss. Kene's knees weakened. His wife, with a boy barely old enough to drink. That night, when she served his dinner, he studied her face longer than usual. "Ijoma, do you think love can survive anything?" he asked. She smiled thinly. "Yes, of course. Real love can, even blindness." A pause, then a soft laugh. "Of course, Kene." Even that, she kissed his forehead and walked away. As she did, Kene whispered to himself, "Then why does mine feel like it's dying?" He had handled betrayals in business, but nothing prepared him for what was unfolding in his own home. What began as quiet doubt had become a full show of infidelity, and the worst part was that it was happening under his roof. Ijoma no longer bothered to act loving. She had grown bold, certain she was safe. To her, he was a powerless, blind old man who didn't know the dirt crawling through his house. But Kene wasn't blind. He saw everything, every stolen look, every hidden kiss, every bedroom light snapped off too fast, every whispered lie. Nothing cut deeper than the night he watched his wife slip into the guest room with Obinna. Obinna was lean, good-looking, with smooth brown skin and eager eyes. Hired 2 years earlier to clean, serve drinks, and wash cars. He was the same boy Kene had helped when his mother needed surgery. Kene had treated him like a son, and now the boy was sharing a bed with his wife. That night, Kene faked a headache and turned in early. Ijoma thought he was out cold. Around 11:30 p.m., he heard the guest room door creak and the soft pad of bare feet, then the sure sound of lips meeting. "Are you sure he's asleep?" Obinna whispered. "Trust me," Ijoma giggled. "He's useless now. He barely hears anymore." They laughed. The bed groaned. Kene gripped the blanket so hard the veins in his hand bulged. The next morning, he called his lawyer and closest confidant, Barrister Nwosu, using a secure line in his study. "It's worse than I feared," Kene said, voice low and unsteady. "How far has it gone, sir?" the lawyer asked. "She's sleeping with the houseboy, with other men, making plans. She thinks I'm helpless, but it's time." The lawyer hesitated. "Do you want to go public?" "Not yet. I need evidence. Evidence no one can shake. Then we set the trap." That same week, Kene placed tiny cameras around the mansion, pinhole lenses hidden in wall frames, curtain rods, even his walking stick. The footage streamed to a private server only he and his lawyer could access. Within days, the files stacked up, kisses, embraces, secret talks. One afternoon, Kene watched Ijoma on video sitting with another man, a new one. He was bald, muscular, with gold teeth. They drank wine and laughed loudly. "So he just stays in the room all day?" the man asked. Blind as a bat? Ijoma crossed her legs. Sometimes I wave my hand in his face and he doesn't move. It's hilarious. Me, I would have run by now. Run? Number, I'm about to run the show. She laughed and poured more wine. Another evening, Kene sat in the garden, the same place Ijoma once led him through. Now she avoided it like a ghost lived there. Obinna approached with a tray. Here's your drink, sir, he said. Thank you, Obinna. Kene replied from behind his dark lenses. Anything else you need? No. Tell me, what does loyalty mean to you? Obinna looked up, startled, then forced a smile. Loyalty, sir? It's doing what you should, respecting who you serve. Kene nodded slowly. Good words, but his chest burned. The boy didn't know his lies were already saved in sharp, clear video. Days later, Ijoma came to Kene while he sat in his private lounge, pretending to struggle with a magazine. Sweetheart, she said, too sweet, I've been thinking about the properties. With your condition, maybe I should manage a few things for now. He tilted his head. You mean sign some over to you? Yes, only the Abuja apartments and the Lekki estate. Just for now, to ease your stress. I'll be your eyes and hands. Kene smiled faintly. Bring the documents. The next day, she brought 2 documents. He signed them, fully aware they were fakes prepared by his lawyer, dummy titles, bait. She kissed him afterward. You won't regret this. But he already did. Later that week, he listened from the dining room doorway as she spoke on the phone. He signed it. Yes. Imagine, this fool doesn't even know he just gave me access to 2 properties worth over $1 billion. Once we finish the papers, we move. Pause. Yes, baby, I'm serious. We sell the house, disappear, and you and I start a new life. No more secrets. Kene's heart dropped, not over the money, but because the woman he once trusted with his soul was ready to sell the home they built and run. She hadn't only betrayed his body, she had stained his name, his honor, his legacy. That night, he stood before the bedroom mirror, staring at himself. He slid off his glasses slowly. This is the woman I married, he thought. This is the life I chose. But not anymore. The trap was set. The cameras were rolling. Judgment Day was close. Ijoma stood at her mirror, humming as she fixed her makeup. Her phone buzzed. She snatched it up. Hello, Mr. Salako. Yes, I've confirmed the papers. Everything checks out. Chief won't be part of the transaction. He's indisposed, she said with a chuckle. Chief Kene, lying in bed with his back turned, kept his breathing even. He was wide awake, listening. Yes, she continued into the hallway, heels clicking. Once we finalize the house sale, I'll move the funds to the new account and vanish. Keep it quiet. Her steps faded down the stairs, her voice thinning into the distance. Disappear. Kene turned slowly and sat up, eyes on the door she'd just closed. So this is it, he murmured. She's ready to take everything. That afternoon, he summoned Barrister Nwosu to the private lounge. She's trying to sell the mansion, Kene said. Trace the buyer. Record every conversation. Build a legal net so tight not even her shadow slips through. Nwosu nodded grimly. We're near the end, Chief. Do we move now? Kene shook his head. One more night. I want to face her while she thinks I can't see. I want her to step into the trap with her heart wide open. That evening, Ijoma walked in, wearing a red silk robe, makeup fresh. She sat on the bed and stroked his shoulder. You've been so quiet, she said softly. I've been thinking, he answered. About what? About who I am without my eyes. She laughed lightly. You're the same man, just a bit slower." He nodded. "Do you love me, Ijoma?" She paused. "Why would you ask that?" "Wondering if love needs eyes to survive." She leaned in and kissed his forehead. "Of course I love you." The kiss was cold, empty, like a practiced move meant to distract, not to soothe. The next morning, while Kene sat in the garden pretending to fumble with his phone, he heard Ijoma instructing the housekeeper. "Pack my clothes quietly and don't tell anyone." "I'm traveling for a while, madam," the housekeeper whispered. "Are you not telling Olga?" "Olga is blind. What will he do? Chase me?" They laughed. Kene gripped the chair's armrest. Later that day, Ijoma ushered another man into the mansion, Kelvin. Muscular, flashy, dripping gold chains and designer shoes, more nightclub than home. From the corner of the living room, Kene caught the man's cologne before he saw him. Kelvin walked past, laughing. "So this is the chief? Doesn't look like much. Keep your voice down," Ijoma whispered. "He's harmless now. Just sits like a statue. You sure he's really blind?" "Trust me. Sometimes I wave my hand right in front of him. Nothing." They laughed again. Kene's jaw tightened. Kelvin dropped onto the couch, pulled Ijoma onto his lap, and they kissed in front of the man she had promised to love in sickness and in health. Kene watched through the thin slit of his sunglasses. That night, Ijoma brought Kelvin into their marital bedroom. She set soft music, lit scented candles, and giggled like a teenager. "Shh, don't worry," she whispered. "He's fast asleep." Kelvin shifted, uneasy. What if he wakes up? Even if he does, what will he see? "I've been doing this for months. Trust me, he's nothing now." She laughed and pulled Kelvin closer. Just then, Chief Kene's bedroom door creaked. Ijoma gasped, nearly dropping her glass. "Jesus, he's up!" Kelvin froze. "Should I run?" "No, relax," she whispered. "Don't say a word. Stand still. He won't see us." Kene stepped forward, walking stick tapping in slow beats. He stopped at the edge of the bed. The room held its breath. Ijoma whispered, "He's only feeling around. Stay quiet. Don't talk." Kene stood there for several seconds, then slid off his glasses. His eyes, clear, sharp, burning, locked on hers. "Ijoma," he said softly, "I see everything you've been doing." Kelvin stumbled back. Ijoma's mouth fell open. "Wait, you're not blind." Kene's voice shook with feeling. "No, I never was. I pretended so I could see your heart." Silence dropped like a stone. "You brought strangers into my home. You slept with a boy I fed and clothed. You tried to sell my house, my legacy, and all this time you thought I was a fool." She fell to her knees. "Please, Kene." "I'm sorry," he turned to Kelvin. "Get out of my house." Now Kelvin didn't wait. He grabbed his shoes and ran. Ijoma clutched Kene's leg. "Please, don't throw me out." The door opened, and 2 security guards stepped in. Kene pointed at her. "Take this woman out of my house. She should leave with only what she brought, her lies, her greed, her shame." As they dragged her toward the door, she screamed, "You can't do this. I'm your wife." "You were," Kene said coldly. "Not anymore." The night Ijoma was cast out of Chief Kene's mansion echoed through the staff like thunder. No one spoke, but everyone understood. The master had never been blind, and the mistress had never been loyal. Rain misted the compound as the guards led Ijoma to the gate, barefoot and shaking. The makeup she'd set so carefully now streaked down her face, mixed with tears and humiliation. "Please, Kene, don't do this," she cried, slipping on the wet tiles. Kene stood at the top of the marble stairs, steady and unflinching. His voice was low and firm. "Leave my house, Ijoma. You lost your place here the day you decided my blindness made me weak." She dropped to her knees. "I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I'm ashamed of what I did. I never meant to hurt you." Kene shook his head slowly, the cane by his side like a record of what he had endured in silence. "You brought men to my bed and into my home. You mocked me when you thought I couldn't hear. You plotted to sell what I built. And now you beg, not out of love, but because your plans failed." She sobbed harder. He turned away. "You failed the test of loyalty. Leave now, or I'll have you arrested." By morning, the story had blazed across social media and gossip blogs. Billionaire Chief Kene pretends to be blind, catches wife cheating with multiple men. Under Kene's strict instructions, Barrister Nwosu had released selected footage from the hidden cameras to key outlets. Some clips were blurred, some had no sound, but the damage was complete. Ijoma's face was everywhere. "Shameful," people muttered in salons, offices, and markets. "How could she?" In his own house, others whispered, "That man is wise, sharp as a blade." Respect. Inside the mansion, Kene felt no triumph, only a deep, hollow ache. That afternoon he sat alone in the garden, the same place where Ijoma once held his hand and swore forever. The quiet wasn't peaceful, it was heavy with memory. Obinna was gone, fired and blacklisted, and Ijoma had no family to run to. The men, Kelvin, Silva, even the houseboy, had vanished. No one wanted to be seen with her. Justice was done, but Keene's heart remained sore. That evening, Barrister Nwosu visited again. "The public is with you, sir. Donations to your foundation doubled overnight. Sponsors are reaching out. People see you as a symbol of wisdom and restraint." Kene didn't smile. "Tell me, Nwosu, is it worth it to catch someone you love in a lie?" The lawyer sat beside him. "Sometimes the truth hurts more than the betrayal," he said gently, "but it is still better than living in the dark." Kene nodded slowly. "I'm not angry anymore, just disappointed." "You gave her a chance," Nwosu said. "I gave her my soul," Kene whispered. That night, he stood in the doorway of the master bedroom they once shared. The sheets had been changed, but the stain and its echo still lingered. He walked to the bed, sat, and gripped the mattress edge. "I would have loved you forever, Ijoma," he murmured to the empty room, "even in real blindness." His voice cracked, and a single tear fell, not because he missed her, but because she had never truly seen him. In the days that followed, Kene moved forward carefully. He started a charity in his late mother's name, the Eyes of Truth, dedicated to helping elderly people abandoned by spouses or family. He turned pain into purpose. He also rewrote his will, directing a large share of his wealth to the foundation instead of any future wife. The staff noticed changes. He no longer wore sunglasses. His stride was firmer, but his laughter was rare now, held back. 1 week after Ijoma left, a soft knock sounded at the gate. The head guard opened it to find her barefoot, her once bright skin now pale and blotched. "I just want to speak to him," she whispered. The guard hesitated, then went to Kene. "Sir, she's outside. She looks finished." Kene looked up from his journal, said nothing for a while, then shook his head. "Tell her I see her more clearly than ever, and I'm no longer blind to her lies, her greed, or her regret. Sir, should we let her go? Let the street teach her what I tried to shield her from." And so it was. The gates stayed shut. Ijoma walked away into the shadows she made for herself. Weeks passed. The mansion grew quieter, not from sorrow but from healing. The storm had eased. The wounds, though deep, began to scar. Chief Kene now held his head high, not because he had won, but because he had learned. The glasses were gone. So was the walking stick. He no longer pretended to be blind, and somehow he had never seen more clearly. On a quiet Sunday morning, he stood in the garden while birds chirped and sunlight broke through the leaves. The same garden where Ijoma once swore she'd love him even if he lost his sight. "Words are cheap," he muttered, turning toward the fountain. "Truth is costly." His Eyes of Truth Foundation was already making waves. Volunteers had tripled. Women and men betrayed by those they loved now had a place to come, to heal, to breathe. He had turned his pain into purpose. Later that day, he gathered the staff in the main hall. They stood at attention, unsure of what was coming. "Many of you saw what happened here," he said, steady and clear. "Some of you may have known. Some stayed silent. But remember this: loyalty isn't what people say when the lights are on. It's what they do when the world goes dark." He paused. "I pretended to be blind. In that blindness, I found the truth. I don't fear the dark anymore because now I know who truly stands with me." Gentle applause followed, some eyes wet with tears. That evening, he sat alone by the fireplace, journal in hand, and wrote, "She failed the test not because I went blind, but because she had no eyes for love. She saw wealth, power, and opportunity. I have eyes now, not just for faces, but for souls." As night settled, the mansion glowed in quiet peace. Outside the gates, the city hummed. Inside, Chief Kene was calm. He had lost a wife, but regained his sight and his truth. In a noisy world, he had finally learned to listen, not with ears, but with eyes that would not close again. Moral of the story: loyalty isn't proved in comfort, but in hardship. True love does not shift when life changes. It stays, protects, and remains faithful. Those who love you only when the sun shines will leave you in the storm. Don't be afraid to face the truth, even if you must pretend not to see. Sometimes it's in the dark that we find who was real all along. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read them. Another powerful story drops in a few days, so please subscribe and turn on notifications. And don't forget to like and share with your family and friends. Thank you for watching.